All right, do begin, though, with yesterday's dramatic hearing on the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
The House committee investigating the attack laid out the rest of its evidence in their argument that they say shows former President Trump was directly responsible for the violence and destruction that took place at the Capitol. The committee also voted unanimously to subpoena Trump to testify before them. And we have complete coverage this morning, and we start with a look at some of the key moments from that hearing.
Over the course of these hearings, the evidence has proven that there was a multi-part plan led by former President Donald Trump to overturn the 2020 election. When you look back at what has come out through this committee's work, the most striking fact is that all this evidence comes almost entirely from Republicans.
Let's just hope we're celebrating. I really do suspect it'll still be up in the air. When that happens, the key thing to do is to claim victory. Possession is 9/10 of the law. No, we won. You. Sorry, over. We won. Yeah. You're wrong. You. Let's get right to the violence. That's what I'm doing.
Because he's going to sit right there and say they stole.
Agree.
I'm directing the Attorney General to shut down all ballot places in all 50 states. It's going to be no. He's not going out easy. If Biden's winning, Trump is going to do some crazy shit.
On December 31st, agents circulated intelligence reports that President Trump's supporters have proposed a movement to occupy Capitol Hill. In particular, they flagged spikes in violent hashtags like "We Are the Storm," 1776 Rebel, and Occupy Capitals.
This was no longer a rally, that this was going to move to something else if he physically walked to the Capitol. I don't know if you want to use the word insurrection, coup, whatever. We all knew that this would move from a normal, democratic, public event into something else.
Unless we get more munitions, we're not going to be able to hold.
The door has been breached, and people are gaining access into the Capitol.
We need an area for the House members. They're all walking over now through the tunnels.
This cannot be just we're waiting for so-and-so. We need them there now, whoever you got. Now, why don't you get the president to tell them to leave the Capitol, Mr. Attorney General, in your law enforcement responsibility?
They said somebody was shot. It was just horrendous, and all at the instigation of the President of the United States.
We are obligated to seek answers directly from the man who set this all in motion. And every American is entitled to those answers, so we can act now to protect our republic. So this afternoon, I am offering this resolution that the committee direct the chairman to issue a subpoena for relevant documents and testimony under oath from Donald John Trump.
If there's no further debate, the question is on agreeing to the resolution. Those in favor will say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed is no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Trump responded on his Truth Social network, claiming without any evidence that the committee's investigation was a bust and that they have divided the country. Here to help us break this all down is Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Rafa and NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for being here on set with us, Danny. Ali, I'll get started with you. So the committee, we just saw a bunch of that evidence, this video, more video. We haven't seen some of this before of what was going on inside during this attack. Before that vote to subpoena Trump, what were the biggest takeaways?
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. The committee knew that the bar of expectations was very high, having yesterday's hearing 2 months after their last hearing, and they still managed to surprise and shock us all with news of that subpoena on the former president. And they started by showing these clips of testimonies by former administration officials, showing that in public, Trump was still pushing these claims of election fraud, while privately he was admitting that he lost the election. They also wanted to show that he was planning to declare victory no matter what the results were. Meanwhile, in Congresswoman Liz Cheney's words, he had evidence more than anyone in the world, evidence of the truth. Take a listen to what she had to say.
What happens when the president disregards the court's rulings as illegitimate, when he disregards the rule of law? That, my fellow citizens, breaks our republic. The violence and lawlessness of January 6th was unjustifiable. But our nation cannot only punish the foot soldiers who stormed our Capitol. Those who planned to overturn our election and brought us to the point of violence must also be accountable.
Another revelation from this hearing was just how much the Secret Service knew and initially didn't share after, the committee subpoenaed the Secret Service for those documents, those communications. We know that they received more than 1 million pieces of evidence, of pieces of communication to have to go through. Some of that was shared yesterday. And I think the last highlight, you played a bit of the clip at the top there. Having been in that hearing room yesterday, I can tell you when the members played that never before seen footage of congressional leadership desperately trying to get the Capitol back under control, back to a level of security, to go back in and certify the results of the election. It was really a poignant moment in that hearing room. You could really hear a pin drop besides the audio playing from that video.
And Danny, I want to bring you into the conversation. So is Trump legally obligated to appear before the committee? And what happens if he doesn't? Because there's a good chance he won't.
Yes, he's legally obligated. He, like anybody else, has to respond to a subpoena. That's what it is. It's an order. Normally, it's an order from the court, but in this case, it is a congressional subpoena. There's some minor procedural differences, but the effect is the same. You get a subpoena to appear in person, you appear. You get a subpoena to produce documents, or duces tecum, then you produce those documents. But don't count on Trump showing up anytime soon. He will fight this. He will take this to court. And it may even go to the Supreme Court to develop a still unresolved question of whether or not a subpoena can be effective against a president or a former president. It's a very fact-specific question because it's come up many times before. Over the last 200 years, it's come up half a dozen times at least. But it's always very fact-specific, and it comes down to a balancing test. The specificity of the ex-president's objection versus the need for the documents or the testimony.
Allie, what's next here from the committee? I mean, no more public hearings are scheduled, but does that mean that we could still see another? And will we get this report eventually?
So this isn't the last of the committee's work. We know that the subpoena expires at the end of this Congress. So you can expect committee members to try and lock this in, check this off their to-do list before the end of the year, because they know that if Republicans win back the House of Representatives in these midterm elections, that the committee and the subpoena could very well dissolve. Actually, House Republicans have committed to dissolving the existence of this committee if and when they do win back power. But this may not be the last hearing, in essence, that we see from the committee. They've called yesterday's hearing the last of a, quote, investigative nature, but they say we could see some more pop up when they finally release their findings and recommendations in this final report, they say to expect before the end of the year. Savannah.
And Danny, what were your biggest takeaways? And as far as criminal charges, is that possible as well for Trump?
Kathy, I am a one-trick pony. So while I've been watching these, I only think about potential criminal liability. It's my bias. So while yesterday's hearings were interesting, I found it compelling and disturbing to see video of members of Congress reacting in real time to being under siege. That was not as compelling towards the criminal case as some of the earlier testimony, which really dealt with Trump's alleged pressure campaign on the DOJ to supposedly just declare or seize voting machines or whatever the case may be. But any attempts to subvert the DOJ, to me, present the most real threat in terms of criminal responsibility. Everything else is, don't get me wrong, very disturbing, very troubling, but it does not pose the criminal threat to Donald Trump that attempting to subvert the DOJ would.
Danny Savalas, don't sell yourself short. Much more than one trick. Come on. Thank you. Ali Rafa, thank you. We appreciate both of you this morning.
Meanwhile, a major legal setback for former President Trump in the Mar-a-Lago investigation yesterday. The Supreme Court rejected Trump's request to intervene in the case. Trump's lawyers asked the Supreme Court to overturn an appeals court ruling and allow the special master appointed to review documents taken by the FBI during the August search of his Mar-a-Lago home. The FBI says about 11,000 documents, including 100 with classified markings, were found in the search. The former president sued the government after the search, seeking to prevent documents documents from being used as part of a criminal investigation.
And out of that breaking news overnight out of Raleigh, North Carolina, at least 5 people were killed in a shooting spree that unfolded over several hours last night.
And the first call came in just before 6 p.m. in a neighborhood northeast of the downtown area. Police say the suspect was arrested hours later. Officials spoke out against this latest mass shooting.
The nightmare of every community has come to Raleigh. This is a senseless, horrific, and infuriating act of violence that has been committed.
We have to end this mindless gun violence that is happening in our country. We have work to do, but there are too many victims, and so we have to wake up.
An off-duty officer was one of the people killed. 2 others were injured in the attack. NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander has the latest from Raleigh.
Well, here in North Carolina, the governor has called this quite simply the nightmare of every community. And this morning, several of the victims were brought here to this hospital, along with the alleged shooter. Now, this morning, we're still waiting to learn some more details about the person that police say opened fire over some time, killing 5 people, wounding at least 2 others. They're only describing him this morning as a white male juvenile. Now, we are awaiting a press conference later this morning to learn more details, but police so far have not released any motive. They're not saying what motivated this individual to open fire. They're not saying whether these people have been targeted or whether these were just shootings at random. And meanwhile, we do know that we're hearing from witnesses this morning who say that they were locked down for hours, told by officials to stay in their homes as this somewhat manhunt unfolded for about 4 hours last night. They were searching different areas. They brought out dogs, helicopters, even diverted traffic to different areas as well. Again, we're waiting to hear from officials this morning to learn more about this spree that unfolded here in this residential neighborhood in Raleigh, North Carolina. Guys.
Such a terrifying night. Blaine, thank you.
And now to the sentencing trial for convicted Parkland school shooter Nikolas Cruz. A Fort Lauderdale jury reached a decision yesterday, shortly after starting only its 2nd day of deliberations. The recommendation, life in prison without the possibility of parole, is now sparking outrage among some of the victims' families. NBC News senior national correspondent Carrie Sanders joins us now from Fort Lauderdale with the latest. Carrie, good morning. You know, in addition to these victims' families that were calling for the death penalty and that you could see shaking their heads, crying, holding each other as the decision was being read, every legal expert also that I talked to yesterday, both on and off the air, said they were pretty shocked by this decision, especially with how quickly it came. Tell us more about what you heard there after the jury's decision was announced. What did people there have to say about how they felt about it?
Well, first of all, it took a while for the family members to really digest what was being read in court. There were 17 murders, so 17 counts that had to be enunciated in the court. And in the process of reading those questions and answers, it took myself about 5 to fully understand that the jury was leaning towards life and not towards a death penalty. But for the family members who endured so much in this courtroom by listening to all the details over the testimony that lasted almost 4 months, it was excruciating because they all believed that the jury would have no choice if this case, if no other case, would be a death penalty case. This was their reaction following the announcement.
Shame, anger, devastation. This jury failed our families today.
I am so beyond disappointed and frustrated with this outcome.
I'm disgusted with this system.
Everyone knows, right? This is insane. We have a legal system, but is it just?
And so now we have a new twist this morning, discovering what may have happened inside the jury room, because after everything happened in the courtroom, one juror contacted the state attorney's office, and the state attorney's office late last night has made a filing that says in part that the day the verdict was rendered, a juror who shall be referred to as Juror X told the state attorney's office during deliberations she received what she perceived to be a threat from a fellow juror while in the jury room. So an investigation will now look into this perceived threat. But because this enunciation or this announcement of some feeling of threat came after it was entered into the court, after the announcement of a life sentence was given in the court, it's unlikely that it will change things. But it is the courtroom, it is the legal system. Anything is possible, but unlikely.
Absolutely.
Savannah?
Yeah, so Carrie, that's kind of this new little piece of information. I think that people are waking up, for some people, certainly the families that we just heard from, they're asking, how did the jury receive this decision? You mentioned that sort of confusion in digesting it, and there were, there's essentially all of these different charges, and then they were reading out the jury instructions with the answers to them. And I think it was that last one that said, the jury unanimously finds that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweighs the mitigating circumstances established, the answer to which was no. Walk us through what that means there. Was that the defense's mental illness argument coming in here to say, hey, that weighs in here and it doesn't mean that he should get death despite the aggravating factors, meaning, of course, those murders? What does that mean there? How did they come to this decision?
Exactly, Savannah. So you have 12-member jury. They needed to have a unanimous decision if it were going to be life. But while they're going through it in Florida and in many other states, you have the aggravating factors and the mitigating factors. Mitigating suggesting, well, there is a reason that these aggravating factors have happened and that it changes the balance of things. In this particular case, to simplify, what the defense attorneys had argued throughout all of this was that Nikolas Cruz, the gunman here, was born to a mother who was an alcoholic. He had fetal alcohol syndrome, and as a result, his mental capacity was diminished through life, and that mitigated to some jurors. And according to the jury foreman who spoke to the local station WFOR, 3 jurors ultimately voted for life in prison because those mitigating factors seem to balance out the aggravators here.
All right, Carrie Sanders, thank you so much. A heartbreaking story and a little bit of a confusing one this morning. Thanks for walking us through it.
Turning now to the war in Ukraine, the government there says its armed forces have retaken more than 600 settlements over the past month. That includes 75 in the occupied southern Kherson region. And yesterday, the Russian-installed head of that province urged civilians to evacuate amid Ukrainian attacks as their forces continue to advance. NBC News correspondent Cal Perry joins us now from Kyiv with more on that. Cal, good morning. Let's start right there in Kherson. What's the latest on Ukraine's advance in the south, and what's the guidance been from Russian-backed officials there? Are folks evacuating?
Well, I think they are. And if you take this as a two-front war, you have fighting in the east and you have fighting in the south. It's the south where you find this Kherson region and the city of Kherson. And this has been a focal point of fighting because this is where the current lines are. This is where the Russians have dug in, where they have entrenched fixed positions, and where Ukrainians are trying to break through. Caught in the middle, of course, you have the civilians who live in this city. Now, Russia is going to present this, and they are presenting this as an act of humanitarian behavior, that they are trying to evacuate civilians for their own good, for their own safety. The Ukrainian government is framing this as an abduction, that these are Ukrainian citizens that live in Ukraine that are now being forced to go to Russia. It gives you another indication of another place where you have civilians caught in the middle, and you have them being caught not just in the middle of a war, but in the middle of a propaganda war, and that seems to be what's playing out on the ground in Kherson.
And Cal, meanwhile, in the eastern region, one of those recaptured Ukrainian towns, Kupiansk, came under attack yesterday. What can you tell us about that? And what's also happening in the broader Kharkiv region?
And this is the other theme. So if you have fierce fighting in the south, in the east you have this bombardment, and the bombardment is happening with weapons that are not intended to be used for ground targets, that are not intended to be pinpoint weapons. These are, in large part, anti-aircraft weapons. And what happened outside of Kharkiv overnight is, once again, the Russians fired anti-aircraft missiles into residential buildings. At least 3 buildings were destroyed. There are a number of people wounded, we understand, in the area. We don't have a good accounting of the death count now because it's just happened. But again, it is this lashing out that Russia seems to be doing on residential areas because, at least officials here will tell you, they're losing ground on the battlefield, guys.
And Cal, we're also following reports of attacks in Russia itself. The governor of Belgrade has accused Ukraine of shelling a residential building there. There have also been reports of an explosion at an ammunition depot in that region. What can you tell us about these incidents?
Yeah, so a massive explosion on the Russian side of the border, as you said, at what we understand to be an arms depot. Now, Ukraine never takes responsibility for attacks in Russia. It's almost policy. What they do, however, do is they mock the Russian government on social media, and that's what we've seen in the wake of whatever this was, this mysterious explosion, as the Ukrainians will put it. And all of this is for their own operational security reasons. They do not want Russia to know what their capabilities are. And on the flip side, we see this here in Kyiv. When targets are hit in Kyiv, the government oftentimes doesn't talk about what was hit because they don't want the Russians to know whether or not their weapons are being effective. All of this, a long way of saying that this is not just a war happening on the ground. This is a war happening in television sets all across this country and in Russia, and that is reflected in that explosion.
That's a good way of putting it. Cal, thanks so much. Please stay safe.
And now let's get a check on your morning news now weather, as parts of the country are expected to see storms today.
Yeah, NBC News meteorologist Bill Caron joins us now with the forecast. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. How is it already in the middle of October? I just look at the weekends come in and I know Halloween's 2 weeks away all of a sudden, and it's nuts. So we had this big rainstorm last night. Unfortunately, I mean, we're at peak leaf season. The leaves are absolutely gorgeous up through the Northeast. I know a lot of people were probably, it's a lot of big tourist industry. People driving to Vermont and New Hampshire, and this is the least thing they wanted was a big rainstorm and windy conditions. A lot of the leaves, unfortunately, have come down overnight. That's also led to some urban and small stream flooding problems. So the heavy rain continues. It's really from the Cape northwards up into New Hampshire and Maine. That's where the worst of it will be today. About 3 million people still under flood watches. Those little maroon areas there in the mountainous areas right near New Hampshire and Maine, that's where we do have 2 flash flood warnings. Additional rainfall, not a pretty day in beautiful Bar Harbor. Heading up to Bangor, anywhere in Maine for the most part, you have another chance of 1 to 3 inches of rain. So my apologies for your Friday. Those Friday night football games, hopefully a lot of that rain will be ending before those occur later on tonight. So your forecast today still feels like summer. Let's turn those air conditioners off. Still way too warm from Phoenix to San Antonio, Dallas. Even the Pacific Northwest has a chance of some record highs today. Very warm. The exception, Minnesota and the Dakotas into Wisconsin. That's where it feels like fall, and you may even see a few snowflakes up around areas like Duluth. So the weekend forecast goes like this. On Saturday, we dry it out in areas of Maine. That's good. Much of the country is dry. Maybe a pop-up shower in Miami in the afternoon. No big deal. And then chance of hit-and-miss showers around Arizona. Record warmth continues, though, in areas of the west. We should be up 88 to 83. Even Seattle could be near 80 degrees on Sunday, which is very unusual for this time of year. And then some wet weather will return. It's not going to be a perfect weekend in Oklahoma, Arkansas, or through much of North Texas, but you won't get rained out either on Sunday. It'll more be in the afternoon and evening that we'll see some of those showers and storms. And after that rainy day last night and then recovering today, beautiful weather from the mid-Atlantic to the Northeast. So all your outdoor plans, if you don't have those Halloween decorations up, do them this weekend.
Ooh, love
you still
that.
have time.
Yeah,
way to end the week.
Yeah, and we're still in fall, which is the season before winter, also known as Bill's complaints about shoveling snow season.
It gets rough. I'm already it was a little frosty the other morning. I had to scrape the windshield. I start getting angry already.
He doesn't like that.
And I'm going to be out there to watch. So.
Yeah, Bill, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.